people, it's me, Anja. My pronouns are she and her, and welcome back to my channel for a new original book tag, inspired by Pixar's new film, Melon Lead, which I just watched a few weeks ago, and I really loved it. So here I am, creating a new original book tag inspired by that film and its elements, similarly to how I did it with Raya and the Last Dragon. So anyway, with all of that said, the first prompt is Meilin Lee, naming from a book with a Chinese main character by a Chinese author. So I would definitely say Last Night at the Telegraph Club. This book was literally so good. It was one of my almost favorites of 2021, and it was so excellent. For those who don't know, this book is a YA historical fiction following a young Chinese lesbian in the 1950s, and it was so good. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed every single element of it. The sapphic romance, the storyline, the plot, the characters, the historical fiction setting, how the author incorporated both the homophobia and the racism that occurred in the 1950s that unfortunately stays rampant to this day. Like, each element was developed so well, and I really enjoyed it. So with that, I would highly recommend it. So yeah. The second question or prompt is May, Miriam, Priya, and Abby. Name your favorite friend group from a book. So, not to be basic, but my favorite friend group from a book, at least one of my favorites, is definitely like the Dregs from Six of Crows. Six of Crows is one of my favorite books of all time. I'm so excited to see these characters thrive in season 2 of Shadow and Bone, even though honestly I don't think that they should have been added to the TV show so early. It's not even that like their storyline from season 1 of Shadow and Bone isn't canon to the timeline of the books. It's that it didn't make any sense, and it didn't really benefit the characters at all with how it ended. Like, it was literally just there for fan service, and honestly it made kind of the storyline of the TV show make less sense. Like, if you haven't read the books at all, I feel like if you watch the show only, it won't make any sense. You know what I mean? So yeah, like, don't get me wrong, like the Nina and Matthias storyline from the TV show did kind of make sense because that is canon to the books, but what Kaz and Ned and Jesper were doing isn't canon, and it wasn't really written that well anyway. So yeah, I'm definitely lowering my expectations when I see them in season 2 because I'm kind of confused as to how the writers and Weibo Dugo and Alec and everybody is going to incorporate them then, because like it's not that they don't exist in the Shadow and Bone universe right now. It's that like I don't know like what they're gonna write for them. I don't know how Wylan is going to meet them, or if he is going to meet them at all. I don't know like what's gonna happen. Like, I don't know anything at all, especially since like obviously the main characters of Shadow and Bone are the Shadow and Bone characters, as they should be. Like, I love Alina and Mouse so much. If season 1 of Shadow and Bone had just been the Shadow and Bone characters, I still would have loved it just as much. Maybe more, because I love the like trilogy so much. It's literally so good. I love it so much. I think it's so awesome. I love Alina and her friends just as much as I love like the Dregs and everybody. So anyway, with all that said, I digress. I would say my answer is the Dregs from Six of Crows, although I also love Alina and her friends. So yeah. Anyway, the third question is Red Panda. Name me from a book that incorporates animals and Asian culture. Not necessarily together, but like I guess together, like in the same book, but I don't know if they like have to be connected, if that makes any sense. Anyway, the first book that comes to mind is The Astonishing Color of After, which is a YA magical realism contemporary story that follows a young girl who believes that her recently deceased mom turned into a bird, and I believe it's incorporated in Taiwanese culture, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm so excited for the author's next book, An Arrow to the Moon, which comes out so soon, and it's on my April TBR, and it's one of my most anticipated books of 2022 because I'm so excited. The Astonishing Color of After was so pretty, and it was so lyrical, and it was so well done. So naturally, I have very high expectations for the author's next book. So anyway, I would definitely say that book for that prompt. So yeah. The next question, the next prompt is Full Town. Name your favorite fictional musical group. So I would definitely say the girl group band from This Is What It Feels Like, which honestly I don't remember if they ever named their band, but basically this book is a YA contemporary following 3 black characters who are former best friends and they must band together to compete in a musical competition. And I thought it was so incredible. And I know I talk about this book all the time, so maybe it's not that underrated, but for me it is, because I think it's so good. And the characters, the storyline, like the musical elements, the friendship, the band, like the sapphic side romance with one of the characters, because one of the characters is a lesbian. Like, this book is so good, and it deserves so much more hype. So with that said, this book is so good. So yeah. So anyway, the next prompt is Toronto. I don't know if I pronounced that right, because a tweet that I saw after Turning Red came out is the most unrealistic part about Turning Red is that they pronounce the second T in Toronto. So I don't know if I'm saying that right, but like, I'm not a native Canadian. So anyway, name your favorite book set in Canada. I don't have an answer for this one because like the majority of the books I read are set in America, or they're fantasy, so they're set in like fictional, fantastical settings. So honestly, I don't really have one. The last book that I read that was set in Canada was called When You Get the Chance, I think, and it was set like about 2 queer cousins who, like, it was a boy and a girl, and I don't remember their names at all, and it was set like during Pride or something like that, and it was written by one of the same authors. No, it was written by 2 authors, and one of them wrote I Hope You're Listening the year before in 2020. So like, I had higher expectations, and it kind of disappointed me, if I'm being honest. And I gave it 3 stars, so I don't recommend it at all. So anyway, yeah, I don't have a favorite book that's set in Canada, but if you have any recommendations, let me know. Or if you know of any book that I have read that is set in Canada that I like promptly forgot about. So yeah, although if I forgot about it, is it really a favorite? Probably not. So yeah, or maybe I just forgot that it's set in Canada, because sometimes like I forget elements of books that I really loved. You know what I mean? Like after I finish a book, I immediately forget the characters' names, even though like I remember the story, I remember the romance, I remember like certain elements that I loved, but I don't necessarily remember the characters' names. Like sometimes when I rewatch my own recent reads videos, since I pre-filmed them like a few weeks prior, as I'm rewatching them, I'm like, I don't remember the characters' names of any of these books that I rated 4 and 5 stars, but I do remember that I loved this book so much because I loved like the romance and the representation and the story and everything, and made me cry, yet I don't remember the characters' names at all. So anyway, I digress. The last question is Domee Shi. I don't know if I pronounced that right, so if I did, please let me know. Name your favorite Asian woman author. If you didn't know, that's the director of Turning Red, and she was the first woman to direct a Pixar feature film. So anyway, my favorite Asian woman author, I would definitely say I love Roshni. I love her so much. She wrote the Gilded Wolves trilogy as well as the Rusha Quintet, and I'm so excited for the 5th Rusha book. It comes out like the 5th of April, and again, like an arrow to the moon, it's one of my most anticipated releases for the entire year, as well as being on my April TBR, and I'm so excited for it. So yeah, with that said, that's the end of the Turning Red book tag that was inspired by the most recent Pixar film, which was so good. 11 out of 10. I would definitely highly recommend it if you haven't seen the movie already. So yeah, if you enjoyed this video, please don't hesitate to give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below the mango emoji if you made it all the way to the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye!